For my Ethogram project, I had chosen the dire horse from the movie Avatar. Avatar is a very science fiction based film, also heavily into action. This being said, all of the Avatar people are tribal people from prehistoric times that had colonized Pandora's solar system moon long ago. There are many different clans in which you are birthed in, and these all coincide with nature. The ecosystem in which they live in is overall a very lush, dense, habitable rainforest, all covered in luminescent, bright colors which glow towards the night. The character I chosen from Avatar was the dire horse. It played a part which was rarely seen throughout the movie, but when shown is very detrimental to the scenes. It is very horse-like both physically and behaviorally. Physical side of it is very tall mammal having the same physique of a horse, long legs, long neck, and a body being very big in proportion. As for behaviorally speaking, the dire horse expresses their emotions through vocalizations just as horses do. As well as the dire horse finesses its way in its body when trotting and leaping is the same exact way that a horse does with a two-beat gant. The appearance and behaviors that dire horse perform resemble a horse to a great extent. Next off is my Ethogram definitions. I chose these specific behaviors solely based on the fact that they are very prominent of the dire horse and the way it reacts and responds to situations since it can't talk. My 7 behaviors were leaping, loud roar, trot running, antenna use, mirrored acts, panting / muffled grunt, and Tula Shayla Bond. I chose 2 vocalizations, the panting, muffled grunt, and a loud roar. It was very important to have these both because they express different meanings. The panting grunt expresses a sense of calmness and in presence of other dire horses, and it's a way to communicate to others, knowing that everything's okay and they are safe and sound. As for the loud roar, this is used in a sense of alert in battle and communicated the pack of dire horses to work as one. Next off, trot walking was used because when trotted, this is whenever they were guided and needed to be somewhere fast, whether what occasion was going on. Leaping long distance was very prominent in the sense that it was used in battle to get over great terrain that was being faced. Also, mirrored acts is very important because it's what the dire horses use with one another in order to not lose anyone and stay together depending on what's happening around them. Lastly, antenna use and the Tula bond were used for connection with the dire horses. And the bond was connection with the Avatar people. All 7 of these bonds and behaviors all worked in unison of one another and codependent on each other for everything to perform correctly. Next off is my data sheet. The data collection that I used was method of minutes 1 through 10. With this, I created a table, and underneath the 1 through 10 had columns and rows for minutes of film that the dire horses was showing a behavior. I labeled the exact time that the behavior started, and underneath the time had another column that showed the context. The context was what I observed that was happening, the setting, who and what was involved at the time, etc. It was important to include every key thing that was occurring so I could use it later while observing my data and see the effects of different things that caused the different behaviors to happen. This was still used for every minute, the 1 through 10 method about the dire horse. Lastly, underneath that I column for all 7 behaviors, I'd use them for every time that I had seen a behavior within each minute of film. I placed an X. If the behavior was present, I used the interval sampling method. This is where I did minutes 1 through 10 because it was the easiest for me to display my data in a way that I could understand the behaviors the dire horses were presenting. Next off, I have my results chart. By examining this data, some behaviors vary, being present more or less than other behaviors that a dire horse does. Starting off with leaping, this was the least occurring behavior, only showing up 2 out of 7 times. Loud roar was 8 out of 7 times. Trot running, 5 out of 7 times. Antenna use, 7 out of 37 times. Yes, so all of these were used 37 times. Sorry, correction. And 7 out of 37 times was mirrored acts, and panting / muffled grunt was 5 out of 37 times. Lastly, the Tula Shayla bond was 3 out of 37 times. And even though some of these behaviors weren't shown a lot, they all coincide with one another, and many of them work together. The interval minute 1, 4, and 8, where the most occurrences happened, with the most behaviors that took place occurred when the Navi tribe and other tribes were present in the moments of conflict. All 3 of them had leaping, loud roar, mirrored acts, and antenna use. The way these all work together, I'd notice, is when a loud roar vocalization happened in the occurrence of a startled response. The unity resembled mirror acts and in which the dire horses follow each other in a pact and would keep the vocalization going throughout the travel. Diving deeper into this context, before interval 7 and after 7 is where I noticed the greatest behavior change. Before interval 7, this is when the tribes are present and each tribe was battling each other. But after interval 7, this is when the tribes united together and were battling against the humans that were trying to take over them. Their resources and the tree them and everything to them. Now, the dire horses were prompted to fight against the humans and something bigger than them. So this is a different setting for them. This is where I could see the biggest change, and this caused antenna use to not be present in vocalization and the unity to despair. Since they were being put in a setting, the Avatar didn't know how to control the dire horses, leading them to not control the situation and losing member of their packs around them. I believe it to be true that the members are telling a very important story about the dire horses, and one quick change of setting affects them in a way they vocalize and move as one pack to a problem event. And this is my project, and I hope you learned a little bit about the dire horse because it is a very small part of Avatar, yet is very huge in the meaning of Avatar. Thank you.